a offlaner. Why are you here, sir? What are you looking to get out of this session today?
I just want to improve my game so that I can play with my cousins.
How good are your
They are
cousins?
like divine. So whenever I play with them, I feel like I'm being attracted. So
What MMR are your cousins? Did you say?
they are all like divine or low immortal.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they're all in like the 5K region, 4.5 to
Yeah.
5.5. Okay, sounds good, man. So do you have any particular questions before we start, or do you just have a couple replays and load them up and see what I got?
Yeah.
The second one?
I'll I'll, I'll give you the replays.
Cool.
Basically, I have this game whereby my team just carried me and I'm not really sure what to do in the game. So
Okay. Cool. So we have a 40-minute game. What hero are you here? You said your team carried you?
Abaddon.
You're a Baron, okay. And you're against Antimage Disruptor. Okay. Not a very fun lane. Or at least the Antimage portion of it. So I've personally had the displeasure of laning a Baron versus Antimage. That shit's pretty rough. But we're gonna see what you do. First and foremost, you're against Antimage, so I would usually at least get 1 or 2 mangoes.
Okay.
Just because you do expect to get your mana burned, and that's just something where every time I go into a lane, I say, what are the things that could go wrong? What are the strengths of my hero in this lane? What are the strengths of the opponent hero? These are just like questions that you should try to get in the habit of asking yourself like every single game. So like when I go into this lane, I'm thinking, okay, the Ring of Protection's fine. They have a lot of physical damage because the Anti-Mage is all physical. Disruptor's going to be right-clicking me a lot. And then at the same time, I'm also going to get my mana burn. So, like, what can I do about that? Do I want to avoid the Anti-Mage? Do I want to creep cut? Do I want to lane straight up and buy a bunch of mangoes? So, with your item build, I'm thinking that laning straight up is not going to work. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Because Anti-Mage is just going to burn your mana, and then you're just a manaless offlaner. So, I'm going to watch how you end up playing this. But, I will tell you, you are in obviously a counter matchup. Okay, you're against Willow. Same thing. Willow Disruptor doesn't really matter in terms of how the lane is affected. You have an Ogre. Okay. The nice thing about your bracket is when I have an Anti-Mage against me, he'll hit me about 19 times. With you, he does not hit you at all, so this is nice.
Yeah.
So far, working out. This is stuff when I tell you, like, you could get punished for. It's hard to prove to you in 2K, because most of the time people won't punish you. But the thing is, you still have to keep in mind what I'm saying, just because eventually people will punish it, and you need to be ready to think, how could it be punished? Usually I think to myself, what could the opponent do to punish me? And if he's not doing it, cool. Like, that's how I prefer to be prepared for how they could punish me, rather than just hope he doesn't do it. Okay, so the Basilius mana regen just doesn't make sense against Antimage. Every time I've been coaching, or the last coaching session I did as well, this happens a lot. I think the itemization in laning stage just isn't overall what is, like, addressing the specific heroes you're against. So yes, I know you're only in 2K, but like an example that I used for my last coaching session was he was against a Skywrath Clockwork who basically do no physical damage, and he went first item Buckler. And it's like, that just makes no sense. You're against 2 heroes that do primarily magic damage, and you bought an item that gives you magic resistance. Or, sorry, physical damage resistance. And so in your case, you're against a hero that is going to burn all of your mana. Or, like, it's not a lane where you kind of sustain harass. You're in a lane where he's going to burn your mana. So in my case, I'm thinking, what's a good example? So if I'm against Slark plus, like, a slower stun, last thing I want to do is build, like, health sustain on my offlane hero. I'm going to build, like, boots and a windlace or something like that, because I want to, because the Slark lane's, like, going to kill me. I'm not going to get harassed down to nothing. I'm going to get killed. So if I, like, on the other hand, the other day when I was Centaur, I was against a PL Disruptor or something like that, and I went first major item Ring of Health, because that lane is all about harass. So I was like, okay, all I need to do is sustain through this harass. PL's the type of carry that's going to poke me down, right? Like, he's the type that's going to consistently harass me. So I really liked it. It really is important if you're learning itemization to really practice your first or second, like, small item, because it really is difficult to itemize past, like, the 20-minute mark, because you're dealing with 4 heroes on your team. You have to identify what your role in the game is. You have to look at the 5 enemy heroes and think, like, do I need to itemize for myself? Do I need to itemize for my team? Like, do I need to initiate? Do I need to be a save hero? Do I need to buy auras? Like, those are hard questions. But when you look at a lane, right, you're just building an item that helps your 2 heroes beat those 2 heroes. Like, that's and that's the vacuum you're in. And so what happens is, if you can't do it here, then I'm not going to trust you to do it later. So in this specific lane, I don't think stick really does much for you. So I'd probably go, like, a couple mangoes, and then go, like phase boots or windlace or something, like boots that help you, or like items that help you take less hits from Antimage, and then if your ogre wants to go, it allows you to commit onto him more. Your other option is just, like, amass bracers and accept that you're, like, go 2 bracers and accept that you're going to run out of mana. But I think phase boots this game are really good because you're against Antimage, you're against Huskar, you're against Sniper, a bunch of physical damage. And in general, like, Basilius, yeah, Vlad's is going to be fine if you want to end up building it. But, like, if you think Vlad's is your first major item, that's fine with me. Like, that's great. So if I ask myself, hey, I think my first major item is Vlad's, then before I get to my Vlad's, I need to get past the laning stage first. Sometimes all I need to do is sustain my mana and get some armor in the laning stage. So I might even just get the Buckler and the Basilius as my first 2 items. Like, that's something I might do. But, like, in my last lane, I was against Ursa as Veno. So it's like, if I saw my Venomancer go, like, Headdress or, like, Bracer or Ring of Basilius against Ursa, I'd be like, what are you doing? Because against Ursa, I need movement speed. I need to run away from him as a ranged hero. So, like, my first item, I started with a Windlace, and then my first major item was Boots. So that's, like, I know I've gone on a little bit of a rant for you at 3 minutes into the game, right? Yeah. But this is something where you can ask yourself every single game, and if you clean up your first item, it's just going to be such a big start. I don't know how else to word it, to what you can do. Like, I just asked myself, what does the enemy hero do to me? I also wouldn't mango preemptively there. I would definitely save my mango for when I run out of mana and I want to re-shield myself. It's kind of like popping your stick against a hero that mana burns you. You know, you would rather wait till he mana burns you all the way and then use your stick. So that's a small thing. I think mechanically you're playing the lane well. Like, in terms of, like, creep aggro, CSing, I think you're playing that well. So I want to be clear that the only reason I'm harping really on this is because I think everything else is actually above your 2k level.
Thanks and have fun.
Okay. Let's see. So, like, I think your overall itemization, if you add all of the items together, is, like, perfectly fine. Like, meaning if you go phase boots, Vlad's, that makes a lot of sense to me. But in the order that you should go things, I just love how this Antimage hasn't hit you a single time. I'm gonna stop commenting on that though. I'm imagining him actually hitting you and you not being able to shield very often.
Because when I do such things when I'm playing with my cousins, I get punished really bad for, like, my mistakes. And then when I so
wait, so what do you mean when you get punished for your mistakes? I'm sorry, there was something in the background.
Yeah, when I play with my cousins,
when you're
I get punished really hard for like buying the wrong items and all. But it's just in this bracket, I just do the things I keep doing, and I'll probably win my lane.
I see. Okay, so we're gonna watch how you end up playing this here. So. In this bracket, even though you're, like, not supposed to trade with Antimage, the way this guy's playing, I almost would be trading with him. If he's not going to hit you back, just hit him. Like, that's kind of how I feel about this lane. Like, if you think the problem in this lane would be that he hits you a lot and he's just not hitting you at all, then unless he starts hitting you, I would play according to the fact that he's not hitting you. I think it is important to think, what is the guy supposed to do? And because he's supposed to do that, I'm supposed to do what you're doing, right? Like, I'm supposed to be creep aggro. I'm supposed to be playing scared a bit. But if the guy's just not doing that, then act like his hero doesn't do that. It's actually hard to think that way, but that's how punishing mistakes works in, like, higher brackets. Like, if this guy's supposed to be in position, and I'm not supposed to be able to kill him, but he, like, way oversteps, I'm going to kill him. Like, that, you know, even though I'm not supposed to be able to kill him. So, let's see here.
Yeah, it's a long pause actually.
Yeah, I'll keep fast forwarding, but it's another big pause again. I mean, yeah, overall you're like obviously winning your lane here, and you're obviously in an unfavorable matchup and you're winning. So you are clearly a better laner than your bracket. So let's see what happens here. Now that you have phase boots, I just would not be playing scared. I'd be hitting this guy a lot. Your other two lanes are losing pretty hard, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because like I was so concentrated on my lane, and I didn't realize that my top tower went down. So.
I don't think you had anything to do with that. Like, that wasn't on you. Okay. So let's rewind here. So I think my major issue is you have so much regen and you haven't used it. So usually when I see this, it means you're playing like a pussy. Like, I don't know how else to describe that, right? Like, you're just not playing aggressive enough. Like, if you have a salve earlier, for instance, do something that uses your salve. Like, trade with the guy down to half health each and then salve up. You know, tank the tower for your catapult and salve up. Like, if you have the resources, do something that makes use of it. So, like, right now, you're in, like, a one lane against a hero like Antimage. Yeah, he's, like, level 8. And I actually don't know how he's out-leveling you. I actually don't know how he's now out-leveling you. But either way, I think your hero's, like, got a lot of farm. And you should be forcing the opponent to come to you, because you're just really strong. First off, don't skill your ulti until you need it. And notice how you, like, back off here. Why are you not running at a disruptor, right? Like, why is a level 5 support disruptor allowed to drag creeps away from tower when you're a level 7 Abaddon? I'm not saying kill him by any means. I'm saying run at the fucker. Like, what's he going to do to you? Like, is he going to Q you and then you shield it off? Like, what is this guy actually going to do to you? In this case, like, you may say, well, what if he gets a Huskar TP and Antimage comes over and they maybe kill me? Well, I'm like, well, your top lane's not hitting creeps because there's a Huskar in it. So, like, as an offlaner, it's your job to be obnoxious, to force reactions, to pressure when it's applicable. So, on your hero here, I just think it's a big deal that you...
So really, what I was thinking was that I want to pull the creeps so that I can pressure the tower and force reactions. So
if you're
because I don't really know how to
pressure the tower, you have a catapult right here.
Yeah, I didn't think of that actually.
Yeah, catapults are really important. So something, it seems minute, but like, I get towers because I think about catapults, and you should think about catapults as well. And the thing is that I've learned is you running around like an idiot under their tower is worth your time if you have a catapult. Like, it just results in the tower taking a shit ton of damage while you're doing it. If you do like aggressive dives with no catapult, it better be with the intent to kill or prevent them from CSing. You're not doing it to kill the tower, right? Like, but with the catapult around, if you just cause a lot of nuisance, like, you're so strong here, and you just let your catapult die to a disruptor. Like, he just defended as a disruptor. So it's like, at least force them to bring like 3 heroes to do it. Usually the way Dota works is a team needs to be able to bring a certain amount of resources to accomplish a specific objective. So sometimes that objective is to defend. And in your case, you're allowing them to defend a very crucial tower for your team to get with a level 5 support disruptor. So it's just something that I try to ask myself what the opponent should be allowed to do. And this is something where if you want to watch offlaners, watch them around the 5 to 10 minute mark. Watch how they play the tower. Because, like, in this case, I think it's good if you go top to occupy, like, the dangerous farm. But I also think it's really awkward if you just leave, because then you guys are never getting this tower. So I think to go top, you need to get this tower. So you not getting this tower kind of ruins, like, your entire game plan here. So I definitely would have bought a wand at some point here, because you're against Antimage, even though the guy literally never hits you. Yeah, you're just playing super scared. I actually don't know what else to say, other than you're going to probably lose MMR in the short term, and you're probably going to feed randomly, but I actually think the biggest solution to what your problem is as a player is you need to grow some balls. Like, I know that sounds just harsh, but, like, by all means, man, if you watch offlaners, they're sitting at half health, half mana, like, running at people, like, you know, forcing things, like, trying to be crazy, right? Like, if you're going to play offlane, your job is to cause chaos in a situation that the opponent carry wants stability. That's, like, really how I look at it. Like, I'm trying to make their game harder to play. Whether or not that makes me stronger, whether or not that's enabling my teammates, whether or not that's, like, countering them with my items, whether or not that's running at them, whether or not that's taking their tower. Like, to invade heroes that farm, like Antimage, taking their tower is the best way to do it, like, usually. So I'm running at their tower, and here the thing about a hero like Antimage is he shouldn't be able to defend his tower. He's not a carry that's, like, strong prior to the 14 to 15 minute mark. Unless, like, if you get you crushed in lane, I'm obviously talking about situations where you're capable of doing this, right? So it's like, if you can't play properly in games where you're ahead, it's even harder to do it when your hero is behind. Like, it's way harder to figure out what to do in the game when your hero is having a rough start. So I want you to be able to, like... I actually have no better answer for you here. Like, you should watch other offlaners and see what they're doing around catapults and what they're doing to heroes like Antimage. Like, you should just watch an offlaner play against Antimage. And now there's 4 heroes here. Okay. Let me think about this here. It's funny, because I'm going to be honest with you. Your landing stage was way better than your MMR. So, like, your first, like, 5 minutes, like, mechanically was, like, way better than your MMR. I think you've got, like, the classic, like, 4 years ago. How long have you been playing Dota?
I'm playing Dota for, like, around 4 to 5 years. But,
okay. And how long have you been playing offlane?
Quite recently.
Quite recently.
I think around this year.
Okay, gotcha. What'd you play prior to that?
Support.
Support. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what I often see victim of lower MMR support players is that, like, they're not used to being powerful, so they don't know how to play powerfully. Like, they don't know what they're supposed to do when they are powerful. So, like if I were watching your game right now, I'd be like, you should be hitting Antimage relentlessly. I probably would have gone, like, with these items, I would also have a Soul Ring and a Wand, and I'd, like, be spamming my shield off cooldown and, like, running at the supports, and if anything, having 4 people collapse on me and kill me, rather than what's going on. Because in this game, you're the only hero on your team that wants to be aggressive in the mid game. You have a PL and an Arc Warden. So if you're playing passively, your entire team is forced to play passively. And so when I look at this situation, if the enemy team has 4 heroes bottom, what are your 2 choices?
To just try and defend this tower and not feed.
Okay.
I guess.
And what's the other choice?
I didn't think of other options at this point.
Every time the opponent groups up, you have 2 choices. So if defending or fighting them is one of them, what's the other choice?
I was thinking that I should try to stall.
Okay. I'm asking you what the other choice is. I don't care what you're supposed to do here.
To just leave the lane. I
and
guess.
Go where?
And go jungle or
XD.
Or push out another way.
Okay, push out another lane and create pressure elsewhere. So your choice is to either fight them or defend or stop what they're doing, or force them to separate by forcing them to react to something you're doing. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, in your case as an offlaner, like, unless you're down by 12k or some shit, the jungling or doing nothing is not an option. Every time I see the opponent group up, I say, would I rather be here and fight them or defend, or would I rather go push another tower and fight, go force them away from this one. So right now, I think it's okay for you to defend. But like, for instance, if I'm coaching your Arc Warden and your PL should run at top lane as fast as possible. Your Arc Warden or CM should run at mid lane as fast as possible. And you should be stalling for them to be able to do that. But like right now, like I think because of the lack of pressure you've created, it's like super awkward, like what's going on in the game right now. Like your Arc Warden, notice how I'm flaming him just to tell you what he should be doing. This is unacceptable. What's happening in the mid lane.
Yeah, because actually I was pinging this PL to push out the top.
Yeah, I think what you're doing at this stage is okay. But I will once again just... this game is hard to recognize if you were being aggressive early. So let me see here. You guys end up winning this game, interestingly enough. I'm curious to see what happens. So... Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Dominating, I guess.
Thanks for playing Dota 2. Double kill. Is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I'm going to offer you something weird, and if you think this is a bad idea, then I will take it back. So I think in terms of your like money value out of this coaching session, I think it would actually be better if I told you right now to play hyper aggressive, pick like a bad and offlane or something or underlord, and your job is to like run at their tower continuously until it dies for like the first 10 or 15 minutes. Like this tower right here. Like if you're Radiant, it'd be this tower, Dire this tower, or bottom tower, Radiant top tower, and like and I hate to say it, but like I almost want, I don't know if you're available this week. I can do any time at nighttime.
Okay.
That works for you. But I really think you'll get the most value out of the session if I tell you right now that your biggest issue, your first like 4 or 5 minutes is like really good, I think, in terms of like lane mechanics. But you were against Antimage and you were drawing a lot of creep aggro defensively. And so what I know is that you know how to use creep aggro in general, and I know that you know how to play defensively. But you don't know how to play when you're supposed to be the guy that carries the game for the first 10, 15 minutes. So, like, as an offlaner, you're obviously never the carry, right? But you are the guy that's supposed to take over the game. Like, you're, like, sometimes. Like, there are games where, like, you are the one that makes everything happen for, like, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of the game. And as of right now, I think your issue is that I don't believe that you could be that person. The one taking over the game and just running around being super aggressive. So what I want is for you to pick either, like, whatever out of these heroes are your favorite. Timbersaw, Underlord, Abaddon, Omni Knight, Centaur, and I think those are the 5 best. These heroes are really good at running at the opponent continuously or, like, cutting creeps aggressively and then pushing the tower. And your job is to get that tower in the enemy safe lane as early on in the game as humanly possible. Like, that is your job. So if you're okay with this, I think it's such a big deal that I see what you do when you try to be aggressive, that we can work with you with that.
Actually, I have a game whereby I was playing, I believe, quite aggressive.
Okay, you know what? Okay, show me that game right now, because I want to see that, and I may be wrong. If I see something more of that game, then I want to see it, because in this kind of game, if you guys end up winning, I'm more concerned like at this there's games. Okay, yeah, I want to see that game. We may come back to this one. I want to see that game right now. Show me that game. The game you think you played really aggressive.
Doom.
Okay.
Hold on.
Do you have the ID?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hold on.
No rush, man.
Okay.
Okay. I think there might be an extra digit on this. Oh no, the digits are just big. Never mind. It like looks way longer than the other one, but that's because it's the other one has a bunch of ones in it. Okay. So we might come back to that Abaddon game if I feel like you did play aggressive in this game, and we'll see. we're gonna find out from this game what you deem aggressive, because this is important to me. I think as an offlaner, if you can't play aggressively, it's a rough one. So most notably with aggression is like catapults, acknowledging the weaknesses of the carry you're against. These are the type of things. Like itemization is really important. Like, do you need the buckler to do it? Do you need like phase boots to run at the guy? Do you need, what do you need in order to be aggressive? This is obviously only referring to games where you kind of win your lane, but based on what I saw, if you're at an unfavorable matchup, you'll probably win your lane most of the time in your bracket right now. So let's go ahead and fast forward here.
The battle begins.
Hello,
First blood.
I'm Gabe Newell.
And
You've
a
just
point
achieved
well
first blood.
taken.
Thanks and have fun.
So far, I'm seeing a complete repeat in terms of the way you're playing the lane. I don't think you're this much weaker than this Void. You've literally defensively dragged creeps like 9 times already, and you haven't hit him a single time. Okay, you hit him there. Okay, fast forwarding. Okay. You're so strong, and you're dragging creeps. You have 12.5 HP regen. Void's a pretty weak laner unless he's killing you. Because he's not... He's like a harasser, but he doesn't do enough harass this early. I know you're against Bane. But like, honestly, Bane's really just not that scary for you. Okay, let's see what happens though. So far, I'm seeing a repeat in a lot of ways, but now that you may get levels, I'm gonna see what you do with them. So you do max Scorch, that's good. If you're gonna level a second point in Devour, you better go eat a fucking big creep from the camp. I'm gonna say that right now. Because that's about the only reason I can validate going 2 points Devour at level 3, if I see like a Wildkin or a Hellbear Smasher. Otherwise, I take the Scorched Earth because it doubles in damage and lowers in cooldown. Okay. So that Bane is a Soaring. Fascinating.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So right here, let's give an example. So when this Void is hitting this creep, if Void is hitting this creep, what does that mean he's not doing to you?
He's not hitting me.
Yeah, so what should you do?
I should hit him.
Yeah. So like you're almost 6. Fucking hit this guy. Like
Okay.
if he takes, if he has to time walk, guess what he has to do for the next 18 seconds? If he time walks defensively to remove the damage that you do to him. What does his next 18 seconds look like?
He will not be able to fight me.
Yeah, because if he walks up again in the next 18 seconds, what are you then going to do?
I'm gonna harass him.
You're going to hit him more, right? Like,
Yeah.
in that case, he's not going to remove the damage. And then you're going to get 6, and then he has time walked already, and then you doom him and you kill him. Like, at that point, what I'm saying is, does Void scare you right now? Like, are you scared of this guy, actually? Like, is this guy going to kill you or some shit?
No.
No, but, like, you're a Doom, man. Like, you're... I know you have no Scorched Earth, but, like... If people in your bracket aren't going to hit you, just hit them. Like, actually, you'd be amazed how much is accomplished in a laning stage when the opponent goes for CS and you just hit them. Like, you'd actually be amazed what ends up happening. Like, even in my bracket, ranked like 600 players, they're not used to it. And, like, the difference is the rank 600 players, like, they'll have better creep aggro and, like, itemization and overall lane mechanics than this guy. But they still don't know how to react sometimes when they're just getting hit. And usually I think to myself, when does the other guy want to hit me? What would prevent him from hitting me, etc. So, like, every time I have Scorched Earth on, it never benefits the opponent to be hitting me, right? Like, they just never win the trades. So if I have Scorched Earth, I'm playing, like, up here, and the minute the guy walks up, I'm hitting him once, and I'm learning how to hit him as well as CS. So the balance that you're trying to do is balancing the aggression where you're hitting him as much as possible without missing your own CS, right? Like, so what ends up happening is every time he goes for a creep or you go for a creep, you'll learn this balance of, like, if he goes for the deny on his own, like, if he's trying to deny you a creep, but you hit him 4 times, sometimes that's just worth it. Like, give him the deny, because if you hit him 4 times during the deny, he can only do that so many more times before he's just out of health, right? So the way I look at these types of situations is, would I rather potentially get this deny when I have 99 damage and he has 86 and a Quelling Blade, or would I prefer to hit him twice? Like, what would I prefer, right? Like, you guys both have the same amount of damage. You can, like, right now is the perfect time to creep aggro, because the creep does not have 100 health or less. So what that means is, like, he's not going to one-shot the creep if he hits it. So what happens is, if he chooses to fight you, like, suddenly there's this, like, creep lingering dead right here, like, meaning, like, it's going to die soon. And maybe you even get the deny if he chooses to hit you instead. But instead, he's going to be fixated on this creep. I guarantee every carry player in your bracket, even in my bracket, they see this creep dying, and all they're thinking about is when this creep hits an amount that they can last hit it for. Now, all of a sudden, they're getting hit every time that happens to them. Like, every time they go for this creep, they're getting hit. People in your bracket are literally going to shit their pants. I'm not exaggerating to you. Like, they're just going to go for this creep. You're going to hit them twice, and they're going to, like, or, like, maybe even 3 times, depending on what offlaner you're playing, and they're going to be like, how the hell do I have 400 health? Like, they're going to ask themselves, like, why do I have so little regen this game? Like, when you were a Batten, the fact that you had, like, 6 tangos left in a full salve at, like, 5 minutes, it just speaks to how bad that Antimage was, right? Like, he should be hitting you a lot. So, like, make them look bad, like, at this point. Like, if they're not going to hit you, hit them. Like, the only reason in Dota to not be aggressive is because you're scared of what they're going to do to you. Like, that's the only reason to not be aggressive. So if I ask myself what they could do to me at any given point, and the answer is nothing, I'm fucking hitting them for everything they're worth. Like, I'm going to stand in front of the damn creep wave, like, if I need to. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, right now, hit him. Hit this guy. You're about to get Doom. So, let's see what happens here. So you get Doom. Running his ass. Okay.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Good. That was a good poke. Let's see here. Okay. So he just time walked. What does that mean?
Means
Any damage you do in the next 16 seconds is what? 18 seconds, excuse me.
he can't time walk it away.
So what do you do when he time walks and you have Scorched Earth on?
I should run at
You
him.
fucking hit him! Like, you know what I mean? Like, right now, hit him! Run after him! Like, you know, you missed the creep anyway. Who gives a shit about that one creep? Right? Like, you missed it anyway. Like, go hit the guy. Like, the whole point is you're forcing him to time walk so that he... Like, the reason his time walk... Like, for you, if you don't have Scorched Earth, maybe chill a little bit. Like, because that's your ability that makes you trade well. But his ability that makes him trade well is time walk. Okay, keep running it. Yeah, okay, now you're a little scared because there's 3 heroes here. They get the chrono off. This seems perfectly fine. Okay, the Doom could get slept. Okay. So we wasted Doom, but not the end of the world. Wasted a salve on an urn. That's not the end of the world either. Still haven't eaten a creep, even though we're level 2 Devour. Okay, we got a creep. They have no chrono. They have no... oh, they do have Fiend's Grip. Holy shit, that guy's level 6. I guess it's 11 minutes in the game.
Dire's bottom tower is under Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Let the catapult die again.
Dire's structures. Dire's middle
Okay.
is under attack. Dire's middle
dominating
Dire's
performance.
top tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Invisibility.
Okay. So here's how Dota works. At the 5-minute mark, the Void is going to have a very hard time getting any help. Because his mid laner is going to be like level 5 or 6. And if he leaves his lane, he's going to like lose his catapult. Or he's going to lose his tower to a catapult and shit. And I guarantee you in your bracket, the odds of the opponent mid laner rotating like prior to 10 minutes is like really low. It's just, I mean, it hardly happens in my bracket, so I highly doubt it happens in yours, even if it sometimes does happen. And as the game goes on, it becomes infinitely more easy to kill heroes like Doom, like infinitely. Like in the first like 5 to 10 minutes, your hero's like almost invincible, and like there's kind of this critical mass period in the game, usually after 10 minutes at some point, where the opponent just has the levels and the items to kill you. Like, they threaten you. So now you can't act like a crazy man running at this Void, because if, like, one Monkey King and Avenge is... Like, if Avenge is behind him and one Monkey King TP's in, you'll probably die. Like, that's pretty straightforward. At the early game, though, that's just not how it works. And so missing this window to, like, be aggressive is a really big deal. And I think... what I'm seeing is that no matter what the lane is, you're going to defensively creep aggro. Like, that's what you're doing. It's like, I really would prefer to just see you feed relentlessly, trying to hit the guy a lot, and you just taking way more damage than you're expecting to take. Like, my question is, how much Dota do you play? Like, how many hours a week do you think you play?
I think around 15 hours.
15? Is that like kind of spread like 2 hours a day, or is that like 5 hours in 3 days?
Around 2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay. I'm just trying to get an idea of what I think, because I want you to understand, man. I actually think like your overall mechanics are pretty decent. I think you're just missing the ball on having balls. Yeah. My girlfriend. Yeah. You're missing the ball on you're missing a couple balls here. So
yeah, I know.
I actually wasn't even going for that, but yeah, it's pretty funny how that worked out. So in your bracket, I've already noticed that these carries are not hitting you enough. Like, they really aren't. So I would implore you to play offlaners. Even, I mean, Doom's okay, but his like base attack time's low, so he's not the best at generally just hitting the guy. But like, if you're playing like the Abaddons, the Omnis, the Underlords, let me show you an example real quick, because by no means am I a god, but I want to show you what I mean by hitting the guy. Like, I think it's best to visually represent to you what I mean by hitting the guy. So when you're in these games, like, I want you to see this. And I'm just gonna show you an example of what I'm talking about, because obviously if I want you to do something, I should do it myself. So let's check it out real quick. Okay, 1, 2. Every time that guy walks up, he's gonna get hit. Let's see. I'm gonna stop fast forwarding in a second here. I think it's usually right when I get about a level 3. I've already hit him like 4 times, but this isn't exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. So what happens here is... Okay. I know there's a point where I want to show you.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
The funny thing is he's giving me every CS, but let's see what I do at the 5-minute mark, because I know I put a lot of pressure on this Tiny. Haven't really gotten the opportunity to hit it very much yet. So I think what you're doing correctly is at this point in the game you have like as much CS as I do. And then what I'm doing is just running at people.
Is under attack.
And you can tell your support to like pull the big camp and force them out of position like we just did right there. So now we have the Catapult wave coming.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Let's see what we do with the Catapult wave. Maybe in this case we actually don't decide to do anything, but we've already taken a big stack. Okay. The major thing is, in your games, you've been out leveling the carry. You've been out farming the carry. Like, even despite everything I've said. I think the most notable thing I've seen from me that I didn't see from you is because I haven't had much opportunity to hit this guy. Here's what I'm gonna show you in a second here what I'm gonna say. So the way Dota works is a lot of the times when it comes to map positioning, as well as being aggressive in lane, is it's basically being in position to be aggressive as much as possible. So I want you to notice how often I just walk at this guy, even if I'm not hitting him, and how he's forced to move because I walk at him. Notice how he has to back off every time I walk at him. I walk at him again, and he's forced to back off, and I get a CS. It's like, and then I'm like, if he comes up, I'll walk at him, and you'll start noticing after that first wave, I kind of set a tone in this lane. So it's like, it ends up being that he doesn't really let me hit him anymore, because every time he tries to, like, or he's like considering denying me, I walk at him. So where is it here? Even right here. Right here. If he wants to go for this deny, I'm walking at him. Like, I'm standing between him and the creep. And he's not going to go for that deny because he's learned his lesson that I'll hit him twice instead of going for the last hit. It's like, even here, like, I see this creep, and because there's an oracle, I back off, but walk at him. Walk at him. Notice how I'm, like, constantly posturing in front of this guy. Like, that's what I want you to do. I want you to be standing in front of this guy as much as possible. There's so many times where I'm thinking to myself, God, I wish he would just walk at the guy. And what happens is, if you walk at the guy, he's going to be like, why is this guy walking at me? And he's either going to hit you back, in which case he's going to miss the CS, or you're just going to hit him. And so what the goal is you're wanting to walk at him when he wants to be doing something else, right? So whether that's finishing a creep, whether that's like trying to draw a creep aggro, you know, like when you're drawing creep aggro, wouldn't it be really annoying if every time you walked up to draw creep aggro, if the opponent carry hit you, right? Like, wouldn't that be really annoying? So it's like, imagine if I'm trying to draw creep aggro, if I'm trying to go for a last hit, if I'm trying to go for a deny, it'd be really annoying if the other guy just hit me. And so what I did this whole lane that ends up hilariously showing that I never hit the guy is because after the first creep wave, you saw I hit him like 4 times. He just stopped. Every time I postured aggressively, he just backed off. He actually just walked away from me. And so for me, it's like, as an offlaner, I mean, it applies as a carry too. Like, it's actually insane how aggressive you can be with just hitting people. I think in your bracket, people are really bad, even in like 4K, people are really bad at just hitting people. And I think for you, you should not be afraid to run at people. And I think that if you have a ton of regen left, or you're a hero with a lot of sustain, I want to see you right-click people, and I want to see you diving towers, and I want to see you thinking, I have a catapult wave, let's push with it. Or I want to see you be like, hey, we can't really kill these guys. Okay, I've got a question for you. If you can't really kill them, but you're able to push the lane better than them, what do you think is the best way to play the lane? Like, in this lane, I'm a Disruptor Underlord. What was the only reason we got a kill on this Tiny? Do you remember why we got a kill? I'm going to fast forward real quick. Why did we get a kill on this Tiny?
Oh.
Because at this stage in the game, he's already running out of regen, and he was forced to contest us up here, like back, the lane back here. The lane was back near our tower. Do you know why the lane was back near our tower? What have we done this entire time? Have you noticed like what our way of winning this lane was? I'll show you how we won this lane real quick. So the lane's going to pull back because we have this massive stack. And so if you're a hero that doesn't kill people by virtue of stunning them, how do you make them die? You make them come to you. So notice how this Oracle's taken like 200 damage trying to contest this camp. And now the lane's going to push in, and we're constantly threatening this camp. So if I'm a hero that's like not a stunner or a killer, kind of like a Doom before you have 6, a Doom, Omni, Underlord, make them come to you. Like, look at this. They like every time we pull the lane, you tell your support to do this. You should probably find a player to queue with. That's approximately your MMR, and guys should practice this kind of stuff. Because at this stage, what ends up happening is this Tiny and Oracle are constantly forced over here. And they don't want to be playing over here because I trade better than them. I hit for 96 damage with, or like at that current moment I hit for 96. Like, look at the shit that's going on in this lane. Your lane's sitting here the entire time. What's happening in this lane? There's a bunch of random fucking shit going on. You looking at this lane? Like, 3 creeps, 4 creeps here, 3 creeps over here. I'm killing a creep over here. Like, Oracle's had to tank the jungle creeps twice. Like, there's just chaos. Like, there's just random things happening in this lane that, like, make no sense. Like, if you are just watching the game casually. But if you ask yourself, okay, you're a hero with no stun. You can't go on them. How do you go? How do you effectively hit them? Well, you make them come to you. And in the off lane, the way you make them come to you is by abusing this camp. So it's like, if I'm a hero that pushes the lane really well, Doom Scorched Earth works really well for this. I'd be telling my support, hey man, like, I'm gonna, like, minute 115, I'm gonna push this wave with Scorched Earth, and you should pull the big camp. And then at that point, you're gonna force the opponent to, like, fight you in a place they don't want to fight you. So many carries, they don't want to be walking over here. They don't want to be walking into the vision of the camp, because guess what? If the creeps are right here, and you're fighting them right here, what's happening while you're fighting them? Let me ask you that question. While you're fighting them and you've pulled the creeps into the camp, what's happening?
The servant is missing creeps.
Yeah, the guy's missing creeps, right? Because
Yeah.
your creep, like, so what this situation does is it puts them on a timer. It's kind of like if you have your own creep dying, like, meaning the time I told you to hit the guy twice, he's obligated to try to kill that creep. Like, that's what he's trying to do. His goal is to kill as many creeps as possible. So if you can force him to have his obligation put him in a really bad position, like, meaning his obligation is to kill creeps, you'll be like, hey man, go ahead and hit me back, I dare you, because in the meantime, your creeps are dying to jungle creeps. And in the other time, it's like, I dare you to hit me back, you're missing a creep. Because, like, the minute that void turns and tries to, or in your game where you're Doom, if I hit the void and the minute he tries to hit me back, I'm going to back off. And if he tries to hit that creep twice, I'm going to deny it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to make sure I do it before the creep is 1 hit, right? Because if I do it when the creep is 2 hits, then I'm forcing him this in position where he's constantly has to play around this creep. Like, if he leaves at any given moment, I'll just hit the creep twice and kill it. So he's, like, stuck in this area. And what that's allowing you to do is, like, control the opponent's movements. Like, in this case, because I'm aggressive, in terms of, like, what my aggression is doing, is it's forcing these 2 heroes to fight us over here. Like, that's what's happening. They're fighting us near this big creep camp. And it's like, I know it may seem weird, but what my aggression is manifesting itself as is forcing them to fight me in a position they don't want to fight me. So, like, when you're being aggressive, if the other guy is trying to CS, like, think to yourself what the other guy wants to be doing. Like, what does that guy want to be doing? If he's trying to CS, like, if he has Time Walk and he doesn't want to fight you because he needs Time Walk to trade with you, well, every time he doesn't have Time Walk, you should be hitting him. And it's like, you should also think to yourself, if I'm a carry player and I'm against Doom, if he has Scorched Earth, I'm not going to hit him. But the minute Scorched Earth is on cooldown, I'm going to try to hit him. So you should try to be aggressive when Scorched Earth is up, and you should try to be very passive and defensive when it's down. So it's like, I kind of see you in constant defensive mode. And I want you to ask yourself...
Just now, that game actually, the Vino was telling me that he's going to jungle.
Okay.
So I'm in a 1v2 mindset.
Okay, so
yeah.
1v2, it's important, right? I understand. I really want to cut this session in half because I want to spend maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what it takes after this, because I really do think that based on what I see, you're doing a lot of basic things right, like things that I feel like if you just maybe got drunk or something and just ran at people, you'd probably play better. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like,
Okay.
I know that sounds crazy, but like, I think you're overthinking things too much. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's your issue, and I'm not trying to insult you in a way that's like you're playing like shit. It's like you're doing a lot of mechanics things right. You're building pretty decent items regardless. Like, I think if you go phase Vlad's on Doom Abaddon like every game in your bracket, you can win like almost every game playing that way. But like in terms of the order of the items, maybe that could be a bit different. But like because we already talked about that. But what I want to see in these games, and I don't even care if you end up tanking way too many creeps. I want to give you maybe 3 to 4 days, however long you think it'll take. Maybe it might even take longer since you said you're only playing two hours a day or so. And I want you to feel out what it's like to run and hit people. Like, I actually know that sounds crazy, but what's going to happen is you're going to start hitting people, and I'm going to be like, dude, you weren't supposed to hit the guy here, and here's why. And then there's going to be times where I'm like, dude, like that's you're supposed to hit him here, and exactly it's working here because of this, and I can tell you all the reasons why it's working, and then I can tell you the major tips I have. Play around the catapults. Like, really do think about those. If you're gonna go phase Vlad's, think to yourself, do the boots. Like, do I need the phase first, or does, like, if I'm against like a trading lane, usually the Basilius or Buckler can be better. But some lanes, like, it's just an all-out, brawl fest between you and the other guy. In that case, phase boots are better to rush. So it's like, I want you to decide which one of those items is best first. So if you're consciously making that decision and I watch your game, I can be like, yeah, like, you made the right choice here. Or like, you went Basilius, but I really think you should have gone for the boots, or, whatever. And then after that, I think I'll be able to give you a better direction, because as of right now, I'm watching your games. All I can really tell you is you're not playing nearly aggressive enough, and I don't think that's giving you enough value out of this coaching session. So that really, like, I don't think that's good enough. Like, this is a weird thing. I've never had this happen, but because I'm seeing so much that I think is pretty good, but then I think there's one thing that's just crippling you. Like, it really is. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It really is crippling you. That I think you just need to flip your table upside down and just say, fuck it. Like, you can play an unranked if you want to for like the first 5 or 6 games. If that makes you feel more comfortable. Because generally, when somebody makes a drastic switch like this, they're gonna feed, or they're gonna play way worse initially. Like, because you're just so uncomfortable. It's almost like you've been living in this little box that you just haven't stepped out of yet. And I'm telling you to literally punch the wall of the box and run out of it. Like, that's what I'm telling you to do. So, I have you added on Discord. Feel free to give me a little bit of monitor of progress that you think you're doing. I think anytime in the next 3 days to 2 weeks, whatever you think is best, like, just message me. Maybe give me like a day's heads up. Tell me what time is best for you, and we'll do like another 45 to an hour long session on top of this that we've already done. So, does that sound good to you? I know this is like a weird proposal, but does that work for you?
Yeah, because my timing is a bit strange. I actually took leave today.
You leave today?
No, I took off day.
Really? So how?
Yeah,
well,
because the timing is like maybe today is Monday for me. So
Okay, wait. What region are you in right now? Are you SCA?
sorry.
Or what region?
Yeah,
are
I'm
you?
in SEA.
Okay. So what time is it for you right now?
It's 2 p.m.
2 p.m. What time do you usually play Dota?
Around
Around the
nighttime.
nighttime. How late are you up?
Sometimes around 12 to.
So would it be
12
crazy to do a session at like 11 or 12 p.m. your time?
Oh, it's fine.
That'd be fine for you?
Yeah.
So you said it's 2 p.m. for you right now.
Yes.
Okay. So because I really want you to get value out of this, and I understand you took a night off, or took a day off to do this, which is, I don't want to waste your time, or money or anything. So, then there's going to be a day where so what I'm proposing is 9 to 10 hours from now in a day, meaning like during the day. So that would be 11 or 12 p.m. your time, which would be about 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. for me, that we finish this session. So it can be any time in the next week or two. That works for you. I really do want you to play at least like 5 to 10 games, at least 5 to 10, and with the sole purpose, like I said, the one you give me ideally would be ranked, but if you really want to just like, it might even be in your best interest to play unranked for the first couple, with the sole purpose in mind of like really not giving a shit whether or not you win or lose. When I say that, I mean like, I don't want the fear of loss limiting you on your aggression. I think in your bracket, you'll see so much magic happen if you just hit people and run at them. And ask yourself, if you're Doom versus Void, he's weak when his time lock's on cooldown. You're weak when Scorched Earth is on cooldown. So your aggression should be dictated based on that. Antimage is only strong against Abaddon because he burns all of Abaddon's mana. If the guy's not hitting you, for the love of God, just hit him. Just wail on him. You know what I mean? Like, every hero has strengths and weaknesses, timings where they're strong, cooldowns that make them weak or strong based on, whatever. So I want you to go into the lane with the best guess possible about, like, when the other guy is stronger than you and when you're stronger than him, right? Like that, like based on levels, cooldowns, whatever. Like whatever the most in-depth answer you can give yourself, okay? And then I want you, to the best of your capabilities, to spend the first 5 to 10 minutes running at the guy. And I would much rather you be aggressive when you're not supposed to be than be defensive when you're supposed to be aggressive, okay? So, if anything, if you are not sure whether or not you are supposed to be aggressive, just be aggressive. Just hit the guy. And maybe the guy will just man up on you and kill you. Like, maybe that's just what's going to happen, right? But what I've learned is if I constantly play scared, it's kind of what I do on carry. I hate to say it, I don't nearly play as scared as you do, but I do play a bit too scared on carry. And it's like, there's so many times where there's really no way of me knowing whether or not it would have been better for me to play aggressively, because I really have no idea what would have happened, because I didn't even give it a chance. And I just want to emphasize to you and everyone watching, I really think a lot of the rest of your game was pretty damn good. Like, I think what I mean is it's better than 2.7K. Like, it is just better. The stuff that I was watching. And so whenever I'm watching somebody and parts of their game are better than what I think their MMR is, then it really alarms me, right? What I mean is, when I say it alarms me, I mean like the other thing must be really holding you back, because if your other stuff is just better than that, then your MMR is a overall average of what your skill set in the game of Dota 2 is. So what I want to see is all the things I just mentioned to you. Come back to me, send me a message on Discord. So my I'd say, since it's such a rough I don't want to say it's a rough time frame for me, but it is a time frame that isn't exactly normal for me. I need you to give me probably 2 days notice. So like, if you want to do it 11 p.m. on Friday, I need you to tell me by like Wednesday. So just give me a 2-day heads up. So whatever day you feel like you had good games to show me, we'll do it 2 days after that. Okay? Does that work for you?
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Sure.
I know it's a weird proposal, man. I've actually never done this before, but I've also never felt like somebody was so good in some categories and just had one thing really limiting them. So I want to see what you end up doing with it, and I think we'll be able to work really well with it. So, kind of peculiar, but that's life. That happens. So, thanks for signing up, dude. I'll see you in like sometime in the next week or two, and just keep me posted, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, dude. See ya.
Okay, bye.
So I want to be clear, guys. Like, I think that was an interesting session. I know it's not over by any means. It's just a weird scenario. I've never seen that, where it's been a long time. Actually, I have seen it once. I remember I had a guy who was like a Tinker spammer, and his, like, because he only played Tinker, he was playing like Slark or Jug or something, and he just tried to play the back lines the whole time. And it was actually really funny. It was like 3 years ago or something. And I told him by like spamming heroes, the problem with spamming heroes is like you learn to play Dota from the perspective of one hero rather than from the perspective of the game. And so like by spamming only Tinker, he like never knew how to man up and like grow some balls.
No, that section was actually pretty useful for me because I played an Underlord game and you were showing how like you position between the tiny and like your creeps.
Yeah.
And I was noticing mine, and I was like positioned all the way in the back. I was like, oh yeah, I could just man up toward on the PL like easily.
Okay, so the description that I'm giving, so I want to lay this out for chat. So if one of my own creeps is dying, meaning like the tiny wants to go for the last hit, and I position myself between the tiny and the creep, if the tiny walks at me and hits me, I'm going to walk backwards, maybe take one hit for it, and then deny the creep. But if he wants to go for the creep, he has to walk through me to do it. So against tiny specifically, like as Underlord, I don't mind tanking one hit in order to get a last hit, or to deny him a creep, I mean. So at that point, because I don't mind him hitting me once, I'm leaving him with the choice to either do nothing, to hit me, or to go for the creep and tank me hitting him 3 times. Like that's the decision I'm giving him.
Yeah.
So it's like, eventually what happened was in the first creep wave, he got hit like 4 or 5 times, and every time I postured aggressively from that point on, he literally just never walked up. Like he just stopped walking at me. And what happens is you almost like pummel the guy into submission.